We're now being joined by the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Olumide Akpata. Thank you so much for being here tonight on the program. And some would say that this conference you're having is quite timely, and the fact that you're looking at the issues with the judiciary. So let's have you tell us some of those issues, you know, that you have identified, those critical issues that are actually affecting the dispensation of justice in Nigeria.
Thank you. Firstly, I want to start by saying we lawyers and judges belong to the same profession, and so we are like two peas in a pod, and we operate at very close quarters, so we experience firsthand the issues, and then also we get the feedback from society, larger society, and so tomorrow the summit we are hosting, Justice Sector Summit tomorrow, we want to look at least 3 critical areas that we think are front burner issues that must be dealt with. Firstly, the process of appointing and selecting judges and justices, and the process of disciplining them when they err. Then there's also the issue of how efficiently the system functions or does not function. And last but not the least at all is the issue of financial autonomy and the welfare of our judicial officers. So those are the 3 areas that we want to look at, because really, based on the feedback that we receive, based on our experience of the system itself, being participants, front row participants in that process, those are the areas that stick out constantly. Firstly, there's always the issue of the fact that the process by which judges emerge sometimes seems opaque. People tend not to know how this system actually works out. And also that leads to other things. And basically what we find is that there's a loss of confidence in the system because of all of the feedback, or because of the experience, of the users of the system.
And the other things, a lot of outsiders and even insiders, you know, the bar and the bench would easily point to is corruption in the judiciary. Corruption between the bar and the bench, just like you said, you're like Siamese twins.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts here when you have some of your colleagues being the purveyor of this corruption, going to judges and the rest?
It's totally unacceptable, but I will not deny that it happens. And so my thoughts are that sanctions, no sweeping of any of this under the carpet. If individuals are identified, they must be sanctioned. And it's not very difficult to find out how these things happen. But if I might just take a step back, I think corruption is a manifestation of a deeper malaise, right? And which is why I want to take you back to the 3 areas I mentioned. You put a judge who is not ordinarily qualified to occupy that position, 1. 2, you don't pay him properly on the issue of finance. 3, you hold a gun to his head, and the system is not independent. Of course, what will be the byproduct of that kind of system? This corruption will definitely come out of one or all of those scenarios. A guy who is a judge and ought not to be a judge, he would definitely
compromise his position.
It's almost inevitable.
Right. So and of course, you're talking about reprimand for judges. Would you know that the NJC, when we see judges err, you know, there are certain, you know, things that are done to them, from, you know, withholding their promotions and all of that. But for the lawyers themselves, who probably some of them, we see recently the ones who go around getting ex parte orders here and there and actually desecrating law as a profession, really. What are the, you know, reprimands for such lawyers?
So what the ultimate sanction for lawyers of that ilk is to take them, or is handed down by the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee, which is a committee of the body of benchers. Take the issue of conflicting court orders recently. What we at the NBA have done is that we investigated the matter, and we have identified lawyers who the committee we set up believe were culpable and we are holding them before that legal practitioners disciplinary committee. And in very short order, you will be hearing about the petitions that we, the NBA, will file against those senior lawyers who have, in our view, misconducted themselves. But of course, ultimately, it is the committee which sits as a quasi-court that would determine whether or not they're culpable. And sanctions that can be issued by that committee could go as severe as them losing their license to practice.
Okay, let's ask you this, even though you have three-pronged issues to discuss at the summit. How worried is the NBA when it comes to, the time a litigant spends in court? Because I mean, the legalese there is that justice delayed is justice denied. I don't want to use myself as an example, where I've been in court for 14 years. After 13 years, I got judgment in my favor, for a plagiarism case. And from the appeal court, it was expedited now to the Supreme Court. Who knows?
Well, I mentioned to you that the efficiency or the lack of it of the system is one of the areas we're looking at tomorrow. Right, and we have partners who are co-hosting this event with us, including the UNODC and the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, the NJC, parent body as it were, and also the Justice Reform Initiative. All of these bodies, right, all of these groups have done studies, now one time or the other, on how our system functions or does not function optimally. Right, so you will find out that that is one area that we're going to spend a lot of time to ensure that we must get to the heart of the fact of the inefficiencies in the system. There are too many issues with efficiency or the lack of it in the system.
Adjournment lawyers, as we call some of them in court, those of us who covered the
leveraging on technology.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're disappointed that when COVID came, the courts shut down, and then it became almost like a swan song. Oh, let's embrace technology. Okay, COVID seems to be ebbing away now, and everybody's forgetting technology. We're reverting to our old habits. But you find out that it is important. Take, for example, which is why we're having this summit, because solutions are on the table, but they're not being implemented. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act that was passed has prescriptions regarding, what they say about matters starting afresh, starting what they call de novo. Where a judge is transferred or a judge moves to another court, the matter starts from scratch.
Particularly criminal cases.
Yes. So now, it turns out that the courts have declared that the provisions in the ACJA, which have tried to outlaw or try to ensure that matters don't go de novo when a judge leaves leaves and moves on elsewhere. But the courts have declared that it is constitutional. You understand? So the law cannot override the Constitution. That the matters have to start de novo because of constitutional provisions. Now which is why we have the National Assembly with us tomorrow, the leadership tomorrow. It now behoves on the National Assembly. Because what we're trying to do is to promote efficiency of the system. If it turns out that the Constitution, the ground norm, is actually the law that has put this inefficiency in place, it behoves on the National Assembly to fix it. Let us go and amend the Constitution in that regard. Because you know how, you have probably heard of what litigants suffer. Just because of the fact that my matter has been heard 6-7 years, a judge has been elevated to the Court of Appeal, good for him, we're all happy for him, but then why would my matter have to start afresh? And it's not rocket science, it's something that the laws can be amended if indeed we want that process to be user-friendly.
Okay. And of course, before we let you go, we need to actually get his reaction to the big story of today, the fact that the federal government has actually reversed the decision on fuel subsidy removal. So just your reaction quickly,
very quickly,
as we wrap this up.
I think it's a political decision. Elections are in the offing.
But is it the right decision?
I think we're kicking the can down the road. I think we're just postponing the evil day. It is a conversation that must be confronted. Government must show bona fides, must come to the table and, yes, subsidy would have to go.
Definitely.
But government has to show that it is taking steps to ameliorate whatever that impact will be. Yeah.
All right. Very, very warm appreciation. Olumide Akpata, President of the Nigerian Bar Association, for coming to join us on Newsnight. And we hope your summit tomorrow will bring those far-reaching resolutions and changes.
And get rid of those obsolete laws that we have, really.
Absolutely.